I start with a chess analogy.
Oh.
And somebody out there play chess.
Versatile.
But when you play chess against somebody who makes a move that helps you and then maintains his or her finger on that piece for a very long time, and you're wishing he or she would remove her finger from the piece, making that move that helps you official, only to rescind that move and then checkmate you. I wonder if that's the way Mike McDaniel feels today in South Florida.
Wow. Okay.
Because it seemed like he was fine.
Yep.
In Miami Dolphins.
Didn't he tell us that?
Well, he, earlier this week, when he met with the media, after seemingly surviving whatever axe was hanging over his head, was talking about how he would be part of the conversation as to who's going to be the next general manager there. And I said this from this chair back in November when the Miami Dolphins fired Chris Grier, their general manager, after a Thursday night, speaking of Richard Sherman, Thursday night football game lost to the Baltimore Ravens, which happened in week 9. And the trade deadline was coming up the next week. And the Dolphins clearly didn't want the general manager of this team that dropped to 2-7 to be the one to say this person should go, what the compensation is going to be. They didn't want the GM to be in charge of that. They had already seen enough, I guess, of Chris Grier. I said at the time that I don't know how the coach is going to survive this, because anytime you hire a new general manager, you normally have a coaching opening as well, because you want to hire the general manager and the coach together, because either A, the general manager wants to be in charge of who the coach is, or B, there's a coach who says, I have enough cachet, I have enough of a resume build where I can tell you, I'm not coming to you unless you let me choose my general manager, because in my previous spots, I'm sick and tired of not, to use the old school Parcells phrase, shopping for the groceries. And that's kind of like a Bill Parcells deal. Like, I'm sick and tired of being the coach here, being told who I have to draft or how I get to play, so and so forth. And sure enough, the word comes out that they like Mike McDaniel so much in the ownership suite. Stephen Ross has such an affinity for him, and I totally get that. He's a good dude. Whenever you meet him, we had our fun with him when he's been on this program. But it just smacked me of doing something the old Bass Ackward way. Mm-hmm. And that when it comes time to a general manager search, things might change. Mm-hmm. And I don't say this because I'm, wanting to say to everybody, I told you so, or I'm right. Although there is a certain benefit to sitting in a chair like this in a show like this and being correct. But sure enough, today, Mike McDaniel was told on a Thursday, that he's no longer the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. Now, what happened between the season ending and now? Now, our colleague here at ESPN, words I don't say very often,
get used to it.
I know. I kind of dig it. Used to do it for 7 years. And have been doing it since September. Jeff Darlington says Stephen Ross really likes Mike McDaniel and has been thinking about it since the beginning of this week. That it wasn't just something that rashly he has determined on Thursday. He's been ruminating. They met earlier this week, had a good meeting, but didn't feel comfortable in all regards. And to use the Seinfeld phrase, yada, 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 they need a new head coach there in Miami as of a Thursday morning. That said, as we all know, there has been a new voice in the Dolphins ownership suite in all their meetings. His name is Troy Aikman. And he was hired as a consultant to help find a new general manager. And you could see it's just a new way of doing things, that teams announce who they have targeted for interviews or asked permission to speak with from other organizations for their role. And there have been some names that have been thrown out there and meetings that clearly have been had with Stephen Ross and the rest of the circle of trust in Miami that now includes 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, because Marino's already been in there. And Troy Aikman has been in these meetings. And I will just say this. Troy Aikman giving a fresh set of eyes to this equation here. Again, I'm not going to ascribe to Troy what he has said that could lead to a decision like today. I'm just saying that there's enough stuff that gets chopped up in a room about scheme, about what other people in the industry might be saying, and obviously what Troy thinks the team could use best, and hiring another general manager. When you speak to these GMs, they might say, I kind of like you. I like this place. I like what you're selling. I like there's no state income tax. I kind of dig all this stuff. I'd like to come work for you. But I'd like to choose my own head coach. That could have happened. You see, is there anything else that's happened in, say, the last 24 hours that kind of influenced some? I got it. John Harbaugh was go
right.
in Baltimore.
Yes, he's available.
Thanks, guys, for helping jog my memory on
that part.
I knew you'd get there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so now Jeff Darlington says that Stephen Ross they have had no contact with John Harbaugh.
Yeah, as of this morning, an hour ago, no contact yet.
Maybe telepathically they did.
Match gate ball.
You know what I'm saying? Or the
Should
fact
I
that
call John Harbaugh?
the Ravens also, after firing John Harbaugh, you see a name that they're interested in. Anthony Weaver, defensive coordinator of the Miami Dolphins.
That was a decent unit.
So, I mean, you might have your own candidate in-house you don't want to let go. General managers might be saying these things. And John Harbaugh, 100%, even though I have not spoken to him, there's no question in my mind he's going to want his own general manager. I mean, it's just the end of the story. He's going to want his own guy. His brother wanted his own guy. Harbaugh's have the cachet to say, I'm bringing my own guy. You know, don't even call if that's the... Honestly, there have had to have been a half dozen teams by now, other than the ones that already had openings, to have called the Harbaugh camp to say, what do you think of us? The Dolphins had to have been one of them. There's no way they didn't have a conversation over the last 24 hours. John Harbaugh got... I mean, there's got to be, what, a text chain? Like we have a text chain sometimes about fantasy football?
Sure.
You don't think there's like I don't know what it's labeled? You know, the Ross.
The title is very important.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very important.
I bet you Aikman's not calling the title. You know what I mean? I don't think he's changing the title of the text chain. It doesn't strike me as
This
a
title
text
has been
chain
changed by Troy
Aikman.
South Beach.
The 8 beer octet? I don't know. Are there 8 of them?
I'm hoping it has something to do with Ace Ventura, to be honest.
Yeah, the laces out.
Laces out.
That's good. That's not bad. Landman's involved.
Ross's laces out group. All right. You know what I'm saying? Like this is 100% what's happening down there in South Florida. And I think Dolphins fans who have been sitting here saying we had a group of people that went ahead and hired a guy that's never done it before and hooked him up with a quarterback that we then paid an insane amount of money to without a single playoff win. And we pushed everything to the center of the table, and that bet absolutely crapped out. I mean, the 100%, the only way that decision to hook up at the end of the day, McDaniel to Tua and pay Tua 55-something million bucks a year and give him all that contract without a single playoff win from the duo in the books, although a playoff appearance, as we all know, the don't pass line is the way you would make the money on that one. And I think a lot of observers were betting on the, if you will, don't pass line on this. And now, that's what happens in the NFL when these moves get made and they don't work out. Everyone gets fired. It's a vicious business. Vicious business. But this move doesn't come as a surprise at all. And certainly with John Harbaugh being out there, this doesn't come as a surprise at all. I wonder if Harbaugh kind of digs this idea. You do have to figure out who your quarterback is.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a massive issue cap-wise and contractual-wise for at least next year on this front. But you are now coming in with a total fresh set and a total reboot, one would think, in the ownership suite as well. Not Stephen Ross himself, but the way that they're learning, if you will, from Aikman how to do all this stuff. So this makes sense. It made no sense to fire the general manager and then have the coach decide who the next GM is when John Harbaugh is sitting out there, with all due respect to everyone involved. And in that regard, Mike McDaniel, if he wants to, I'm sure he wants to still be a head coach in the league. Once you're a head coach in the league, that's what you want to be. But if he's willing to be an offensive coordinator, I mean, I don't know how many opportunities he might get of the other head coaching jobs. It's possible Cleveland does covet him. He did spend some time there. He could wind up in Cleveland, and that would be an interesting hire, to say the least. But he's going to be one of the hottest. If he wants to be an offensive coordinator, he could be the highest paid OC in the league and is an instant offense to any other organization that hires a defensive coordinator / culture guy like, say, Robert Saleh, who knows him from the San Francisco days.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It
You know what I
feels
mean?
like they could be the new, kind of dream team pair for a team with
Anybody that has a head coach that doesn't have the offensive pedigree, you want to hire somebody like that? And they could say, I'm bringing Mike McDaniel to the equation, and he's now sort of a co-coach in that regard from the offensive side of the ball.
That ain't no.
There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no co-HC, but that's going to be a strong opportunity for him. Like it's not like he's going to disappear by any stretch of the imagination. And of course, he could build up a shot at a head coaching gig somewhere else. But another moment in time over the last 24 hours that makes me feel completely dumb for saying back on Tuesday's show, I think this is the end of the coaching carousel. I think this is it. I did say those words into this microphone.
You did.
Not great.
It also might not still be over.
And that's what I want to ask Tom Pelissero when he joins us in hour 2. Is there anybody coaching for their jobs this weekend? And is there any other teams that, knowing John Harbaugh's out there and knowing that they've already kicked a tire there, and he'd be like, I'd be interested if you do X, Y, and Z. Yep. And obviously the X, Y, and Z would be have a vacancy. I don't know. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.